can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
It is literally something new every single day with the series of Boruto. Today, we have the confirmed debut. Not necessarily confirmed, I'm going to say 95% confirmed just because I'm a little bit of a skeptic myself. But basically confirmed debut of BoruShiki in the Boruto anime. Now, to be specific, what pretty much gives us this idea is that the episodes are going to match up with the manga title names. So, for example, episode 207, the title is going to be named Regeneration. Now, in chapter 42, the title is Regeneration. So, essentially, it seems like chapter 42 is going to be adapted into the Boruto manga in episode 207. Now, the title of the manga where BoruShiki makes his debut is Manifestation, and the title of episode 208, the title of that is going to be The Manifestation of Momoshiki. So obviously that gives us the idea that that is probably going to be the debut of BoruShiki himself. Now this right here is absolutely huge news. BoruShiki already is probably like a crowd favorite. Everybody loves the character of BoruShiki, man, because it's Boruto's body, but it's pretty much the personality of Momoshiki himself. Now, of course, with BoruShiki coming to the anime of Boruto, there's going to be some questions. One of the main questions for me is if BoruShiki has a Byakugan or if BoruShiki has a Jogen, because here's the thing, in chapter 1 Boruto himself had a Byakugan, but when it was brought over to the Boruto anime, Boruto had a Jogen, and of course over the course of the first 15 episodes of the Boruto anime, the Jogen was on full display. It was essentially one of the main focal points of the first anime arc. Because BoruShiki in the manga has a Byakugan, it is very possible that when it comes to the Boruto anime, it is actually a Jogen. Before this episode does air and before we do actually get any spoilers, I'm probably going to post on my community page so you guys can give your predictions. And even right now, let me know in the comment section below if you guys think that BoruShiki is going to have a Jogen or a Byakugan. Me personally, I'm going to go out on a limb. I know it's going to be a little bit unpopular. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think it's going to be the Jogen. If it's a Jogen, I'll be super happy. Not only that, I want to know whose voice he has. BoruShiki can possibly have Momoshiki's voice. As I said, it's the body of Boruto, but it's pretty much the personality of Momoshiki. We understand that Momoshiki himself is going to be talking. So if I were to actually give my predictions, I think it's going to be Boruto's voice, but I really want it to be Momoshiki's voice. I think if it was Momoshiki's voice, we'd have probably heard one of the other characters mentioned in the Boruto manga, but we didn't necessarily hear them talk about how Boruto's voice per se was kind of weird. They only talked about how he sounded different in regards to his vocabulary. Now, another question I have for you guys right now, do you guys think the anime is moving too quickly? Because this right here seems like it's going extremely quick, and I do have to point out the irony in that question, man, because for the first 150 episodes, people have been complaining about the lack of Boruto manga content being adapted into the Boruto anime, and now we're pretty much saying, hey, you might want to pump the brakes a little bit. I personally think that this right is probably coming from the standpoint that a lot of people thought the Boruto anime would probably add a lot more anime only things into the manga content. What I personally think is that as of right now, the Boruto anime, it's on fire. A lot of people aren't necessarily having too much bad things to say about the Boruto anime right now, and because of that, if the fans like it, I'm gonna have to say that what they're doing right now is a very good job. Of course, the content that they're bringing is absolutely insane, but the quality, like how it's being presented, that might be a different question. But because the fans are saying they love it, who am I to pretty much question how quickly they're adapting it to the Boruto series? And by doing it this way, it gives the Boruto anime fans the same kind of feeling that it gave a lot of the manga fans when it first came out. Every single week is going to be something completely brand new. For example, we got introduced to Kawaki. Before we could even breathe with the introduction of Kawaki, we got the Delta versus Naruto fight. Before we even got to breathe and take a sigh of relief after the Delta versus Naruto fight, Sasuke goes to another Otsutsuki dimension. Before we got to even process that information that Sasuke got in the other Otsutsuki dimension, now we're getting the Jigen versus Naruto and Sasuke battle. And before we can even digest what's going to happen in this Jigen versus Naruto and Sasuke battle, we're going to be getting another battle with BoruShiki being introduced. It's going to be absolutely insane. So this overall feeling right here, for the people who have not necessarily seen the Boruto manga, who have not necessarily been spoiled before, it might outweigh the benefits of the anime adding a lot of the anime only content and pretty much fleshing out what we did see in the Boruto manga. So because of that, I have to put my hands up and say I have to accept it. One of the big concerns that I'm probably going to have is going to be the allocation of the animation. Now that right there in itself seems like a very confusing statement, but for example, let's say the Jigen versus Naruto fight is animated to damn near perfection. Is the next big fight, which is going to be, of course, BoruShiki being introduced, I don't necessarily want to spoil exactly everybody's going to be involved in that battle, maybe because I'm pretty sure there's some anime only people watching this, but in that battle, is the animation going to drop off a little bit? Mainly because we already seen the Delta versus Naruto battle, even though it was animated better than the regular Boruto episode, let's be honest, it wasn't necessarily on the level of like what we thought it was going to be. But if this upcoming battle, again, with Jigen, Naruto, and Sasuke looks very, very well, will the next fight kind of taper off a little bit? I think if that is the case, then I would say 100% we are moving a little bit too fast, because there is no compromising, period. I think these fights right here are literally series altering, and I want to make this clear. I don't think I'm comparing the actual impact of these battles in totality, but when we look back at Naruto Shippuden, we think of the big fights, for example, Kakashi versus Obito. There were no like kind of slights to that battle. People knew that battle had to look amazing, and they completely brought it. Sasuke versus Killer Bee, that battle looked absolutely amazing. Sasuke versus Danzo, that battle looked amazing. Marquee fights like that, which is going to be what these fights are, it has to look amazing. Now, another thing is that I don't necessarily think this pace can actually keep up. For example, a chapter per episode like this, by the time we get to episode 208, we would essentially have only 17 more chapters to adapt until we do actually reach like chapter 59, which is exactly what the Boruto manga is on as of right now. I really don't think that right there is going to continue. I think they're going to have to add some anime only episodes in to kind of buffer the time so the Boruto anime doesn't catch up to the Boruto manga, which is admittedly what they are trying to do. But in my opinion, that fear right there could potentially be mitigated if you guys were to tell me that a time skip is actually imminent. So for example, hypothetically, if we agree that a chapter is going to be adapted into the Boruto anime per episode, let's say that's going to be the case, by the time we get into the winter, for example like November, December, that's when the anime would probably catch up to the Boruto manga. But if we're going to say in December, that's when we're going to have a time skip, that'll probably give the Boruto anime a lot more time to add a lot of content. Boruto training with Sasuke arc, I don't know, a Sasuke training with Sada arc, a Naruto training with Kawaki arc, just a whole bunch of content that could potentially be added while the Boruto writers add some space between the Boruto manga and the anime. I don't know, maybe I'm rambling, but let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Do you guys think that BoruShiki is going to have a Jogen or a Byakugan? And also, whose voice do you think is going to be? And also, do you guys think the anime is moving a little bit too quickly? Let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Baara, and we out.
It's a knife.